Hello, my name is Ben Masten, and I am diving into creating a YouTube channel. So I'm a paramedic with 33 years in EMS this year, and I've had some issues in my life, some medical stuff, and because of that, I am kind of jumping into some other avenues for income in case my paramedic career is coming to an end. So just a real brief history of me. I started doing laser engraving about 3 years ago. I'm a gadget geek. I'm not a woodworker. Didn't know anything about laser engraving. Didn't know anything about working with wood or metal. And I wanted to find something I could do to try to make some extra income. And while doing that, not have to go on an ambulance for a part-time job, like be able to do it at home. So I could stay in the area, respond in my own area if needed. And somehow I discovered laser engraving. I think it was off of a Kickstarter for what's called a Wayne Lux. It was just a really small laser. I messed around with it. But I started digging into YouTube, and there was a ton of guys and gals on YouTube that do laser engraving. And I started watching YouTube University, man. I'm telling you, I have watched hundreds of hours of laser engraving to get to the point that I'm at now. And I got to tell you, most of everything I know, I have learned it from watching what I would call the greats. And I'm going to miss some and in no particular order, but I got to shout out to these guys because they have taught me basically everything I know. Build Dad Build, the Louisiana Hobby Guy, Buster Beagle, Biltner Built. Been watching Wild Willow as of late. She makes amazing signs and, hat patches. I'm starting to get into, thinking about getting into making hats. Engraving with Matt. I'm not sure like what his official name is. His name is Matt, but I'm not quite sure his channel. Sam Craft. Laser engraving 911, laser everything. Man, the list goes on and on. I'm watching just a whole bunch of people. Valley Forge. I've learned a lot from him. And I really, got to say a big thank you to these guys. I just got to say thank you for what you have taught me. And how I've grown from there. I do have an Etsy store. We've got like a boutique booth inside of a brick and mortar. It's called Painted Tree. They're across the country. But we have a spot in there where I'm selling some stuff. Am I, making a boatload of money? No, I'm not. I love doing this. This is so much fun. I enjoy it. But nobody's buying my stuff. We're on TikTok. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Etsy, the Painted Tree. And people aren't buying my stuff. I'm not sure why. Some of it's marketing, I'm sure. Cause I don't have, 100,000 subscribers. I don't have, a big following. I got a lot of friends. I got a whole lot of friends, both locally and online. And they have been very encouraging and very supportive of me. So this is what I'm doing. I've got an Xtool F1 Ultra right here running. I've got a Xtool D1 Pro 20 watt also running, and they're both running off of a M1 MacBook Pro, which I need to get a second one of those because now I can't do any other work until these things are done. So I need another MacBook. I love Mac. I'm a Mac guy. I'm an Apple guy. I love Apple, but I worked Windows for years, did computers, along on the side with my, EMS career. So I've worked a lot of Windows, but I have found that the Mac works easiest with my laser setup. I don't know why, but it does. So just a little bit more about me, before I get up and show you what's engraving. It's just a little bit more of my story. So I love EMS. If I had my choice, I would be 90 years old, sitting in the front seat of an ambulance, going lights and siren to a party pinned or a shooting, and my heart gives out and I just fall over and my head hits the side of the window, and well, that's it. Ben gave us a good run. 90 years old, 50 years, 70 years in EMS. I started when I was 20. But that's all she wrote. But you know what? We all get old, and I'm 53 this year. I started when I was 20. I'm an EMS chief, so I don't get on the ambulance as much as I used to. More of a leader now and mentor to younger guys, most of them that I've taught. And I love my guys. I love EMS. I love the profession. But you know what? I can't do it forever. And as much as I would love to. And I'll tell you, this laser engraving is just so much fun. I just enjoy doing it, watching the lasers work. There's all these cool lasers out there. I'd like to get a big CO2. I'd like to get a Mira 9 red line. That's what I'd like to get. I also want a UV laser, man. I've been just geeking out on, laser engraving 911, Samcraft, Matt, everyone. I mean, they're all doing the, co-marker, Omni 1. And that's what I want to do. I want to engrave on glass, and I want to try to corner the market on shot glasses. But the reason I say I can't do this forever is 6 years ago, I was in Florida. I was on the beach, and I'm diabetic, so I always wear shoes. I wore beach shoes that day, but I never go barefoot except for in the shower. And I stepped on a shell or a rock or something, and it caught me right above my shoe line. Just created a scratch. It really wasn't that deep, but it did bleed some. And I was in the ocean, and I was doing my thing. And I got back to the Airbnb, and I was like, oh man, I cut my foot. It was bleeding after I got out of the shower. So I wrapped it up, put some bacitracin on it. I'm paramedic. Grabbed my jump kit out of my truck, and I fixed it up. And 2 days later, I started feeling infection. I was getting chills. I was kind of running out of gas. I was kind of weak and tired. I had to drive home, and I'm just getting sicker and sicker as I'm driving home. Had two of my kids with me, and I got home, and the next day I went to the ER, and it was a weekend, and I was septic. They treated me, was there a couple days, went home, and over the next 6 weeks, all the skin sloughed off of my foot. Like it just all started dying and falling off. And I am like, oh my gosh. It was during the red tide time. If you remember, 6 years ago in Florida, they had red tide, and it was killing all the ocean fish and wildlife. But also what was going on was flesh-eating bacteria. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I got flesh-eating bacteria. I'm diabetic and I am going to die. Called my doc. He's like, you don't have flesh-eating bacteria. You're not going to die. But 6 weeks later, I had infection again, and I was sick, man. I was working on this because diabetic. I couldn't feel my feet. So I'm working, and I had a really, significant run. It was a bad run. So a lot of adrenaline, a lot of emotion. And I get back in the truck, and I told my partner, I said, that about killed me. I can't do that again. And she goes, yeah, you don't look so good. Like you need to go home. And I was pale and diaphoretic, sweating, all that. So I got in the car and I drove. It was an hour back to my hometown, Fort Wayne. And I drugged my half dead butt to the hospital. And I was just like, I'm septic. I'm a paramedic and I'm septic. I got a bad foot. And they get me back there, and all of a sudden I got two big IVs in both of my arms. They're running 2 liters of fluid. Antibiotics are getting hung. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're running sepsis protocol on me. I am diabetic and I am septic. I am going to die. Well, I didn't die. But I had osteomyelitis, which is infection in the bone. And 6 weeks from that Florida trip, they amputated half of my foot. I went a year. I actually worked on that amputation because I'm a moron. And a year later, I opened up an incision that didn't heal that whole year and literally looked like a catfish's mouth. Like you could look right to my foot, right to the heel. And I was like, that's not good. I went to the doc and I said, Doc, I messed up. Looks at my foot and he goes, yes, you did. That's not going to heal. I said, I know. He goes, it's got to come off. So a year after that event, I had the rest of my foot taken off and I was an amputee of my right foot. And I was literally sitting in the same position, not like right here at this spot, but in the same position. Is my EMS career over? Am I going to get on an ambulance again? Can I still be a paramedic? And I had to sit for 4 months and wait for my foot to heal or my stump to heal. Couldn't have any scab, no open, nothing. It had to be a scar all the way. And I am waiting and frustrated because all the questions in my head. Can I do it? Can I do this? I got my prosthetic. I could walk like normal. You wouldn't even know. If you didn't know what happened to me, you'd see me walk down the sidewalk, down the hall. You have no idea. And April 17th of that year, I got back on an ambulance and I proceeded for the next year to work more hours than I ever had in my entire career, made more money than it was during COVID and they were paying incentives and overtime was abundant. And I made a boatload of money. More money than I'd ever made, worked more hours than I'd ever worked. I got COVID twice actually during that time. And, I guess I'm not looking at the lasers. I can take my glasses off. I have had those on the whole time. I guess I can see the light in my screen, so I better keep them on. But I was trying to prove to myself that I could do it. That's what all that was. The money was nice and it was available, but I just wanted to make sure I could do it. I could really be a paramedic. And I was. And I went on from there and people would be blown away when they would find out or hear, or the guys would tease me, call me peg leg or say they were going to steal my leg because they kept thinking my leg got cut off. I got my leg. I just didn't have my foot. But I lost my train of thought. So, but yeah, people, they had no idea until I tell them, well, I'm actually an amputee. I lost my right foot and I wear a prosthetic, and they just be like, no way. Well, fast forward 6 years. I've been really careful with my left foot. No cuts, no injuries, no nothing, because I don't heal well because of bad circulation. And I didn't want anything to happen to the left foot. Well, and I was divorced during this whole time. And 2 years ago, I got remarried. And so the house I was living in all of a sudden was too small for a wife, 3 of her 5 kids, 2 dogs and a cat, which now I'm like, what was I thinking? But anyway, no, it's good. I went from having a really expensive storage shed to having a house again and a home with a family, more family, because I have 4 kids of my own that are amazing. But anyway, we ended up needing a bigger house, and we were in that house for almost 2 years. And finally, we're at the point where we were able to move and got a new house, new to us, I guess, not newer house, but new to us. Well, it is a newer house because that old house was built in 1878. So it was really starting to feel its age. And I was moving on a Saturday. I'm moving. I got some help, and a friend of mine let me borrow his covered trailer. and, the door swings down and there's two guide wires to hold, for the door. And I tripped over one of them and sprained my ankle and fell and hit the ground. And I sprained my ankle pretty good because it hurt and I don't feel pain in my foot. And I got up and I was limping. I'm like, holy cow, man, I really twisted that good. In fact, I hope I didn't break my foot. And I kind of walked it off and kept moving, and we got moved into here. Well, 2 weeks later, one of my bones, my fifth metatarsal, which is on the lateral side of my foot, left foot, rotated outward. And now it's rotated, rubbing against the side of my boot. And it rubbed to a blister. And I saw it, I bandaged it, I'm trying to baby it. And that blister popped and I went, crap. And, so I called my foot doctor, the one that did my other amputation 6 years earlier, still practicing. I started seeing him. He put me on antibiotics for a month and he's treating it. And I just I just knew, I'm like, it's not going to heal. It's not going to go well. And, well, to make a long story short, I went, that was in October. I went 2 months to December. And again, my wife this time said, it was a Sunday night. I already called off work. She said, I'm either calling 911 or you're getting in the truck. We're going to the hospital. I wasn't going to let her call 911, man. I didn't want paramedics that have known me for years picking my half dead body up, racked with infection. I was like, okay. And I got myself to the truck. She took me to the hospital. They did 2 surgeries to get the infection out. And with the second surgery, my middle toe turned purple. Well, I went home for 4 days, and during that 4 days, my toe turned purple. I'm like, that's not good. And it got darker and darker, almost to a black. Showed it, sent a picture to the doc. He said, go to the ER. I get there. He comes and sees me. He's like, well, I got to take that toe off. I said, yeah, we ain't doing that, doc. I said, I'm not doing this. Cut a little bit here and there, and I get infection 6 months later and 3 months after that and a year after that. I said, I did good first time around. If you got to take the toe, you take the whole foot. And he said, that would probably be the best. And so Christmas Eve of 2024, my left foot was taken off just like my right. And so now I am a double amputee, which is kind of weird, to say. And I'm sitting in the same position I was 6 years ago. Now is my EMS career over? Now, can I get back in an ambulance? Can I work on the street? I can sit and do office work, but can I walk without crutches or without a cane? And I don't know until this heals, and it's not healing as good as the other one did. So I'm frustrated and impatient. But I probably won't know till April or later because this has got to heal 100% before I can get a prosthetic. So anyway, it's really made me ramp up my laser engraving because, it might be what I have to try to do full time to make full-time income if I can't go back to work. So that's a quick story on me. And I don't tell you about all that to have you feel sorry for me and any of that, but it is my desire to be a hope for other people that have going through what I went through. 2 or 3 times in my career after my amputation, I was able to comfort a patient that I was taken to the hospital to get their foot or their leg cut off. Gangrene, smelled bad. They knew it. They're crying. They're worried. They're upset. And I'd look them straight in the eye and say, listen, I'm diabetic and I am an amputee. I don't have a right foot. And the prosthetic that I'm wearing is allowing me to be a full-time paramedic right now and to take you to the hospital. I said, I don't know how well you'll do, but your life is not over when that leg comes off. And it's not. And I say that to anyone that is listening to this, that is going through an amputation or has had an amputation. There's a lot of diabetics out there. your life isn't over. I don't know how well you'll heal. I don't know if you'll be able to go back to work. I don't know if I'll be able to go back to work, but, every day, man, you got to get up and do it every day. The other thing I went through, I'm coming up on my 1-year anniversary of the triple bypass. I almost forgot, with the whole focus on the amputation. I'll just tell you the story real quick. For the last 11 years, I have known that, I got a bad heart and basically could probably just fall over dead one day because all my vessels, all my coronary arteries were 100% blocked in more than one place, but I had good collateral flow around it. But they said I couldn't be bypassed and eventually I would need a new heart. Well, things had progressed. I'd gotten some symptomology and, last year, 2023, December 2023, the doc said, it's time to step this up a little bit and work towards getting you on the heart transplant list. So where do you want to go for a hospital? And they said, well, you got two choices, three choices. It was Indianapolis, it was Cleveland Clinic, or I can't remember the third one. And I said, well, where would you go? And he said, well, with a case like yours, as complicated as it is, I'd go to Cleveland Clinic. I said, well, we'll go to Cleveland Clinic. Fort Wayne said it couldn't be done. I couldn't be bypassed. They sent me to Cleveland Clinic, for referral for a heart transplant. That was in January of 24. Didn't hear anything. I get a phone call in February, about the middle of February. Nurse says, yeah, we got a surgeon here who's looked at your case and he says he can bypass you. And I'm looking at his calendar. He's on vacation next week, but when he comes back, how does March 3rd sound or 4th or whatever? Like literally the first week of March. I'm like, what? I'm like, hold on a second. I've been told for 10 years that this can't happen and you want to do it in 2 weeks? I mean, I need to know a little bit more details. Number one, I'm at work when the call comes in. I'm like, I'm an EMS chief. I'm running an ambulance system here. And you want to do something that I've been told can't happen for 11 years and you want to do it in 2 weeks? And so she's like, okay, well, when do you want to do it? And I said, well, can I have some time? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, I had no idea like how soon it needed to be done. Now it's like going to Vegas and gambling, man. It's like I've survived for 11 years and now if I put it off for 3 months and I fall over dead at 2 months and 2 weeks or at 6 weeks or the day before, I was like, I don't want this to prolong too much. So I was like, can I at least have like 30 days? I got to talk to work and do all this. And she said, yes, I'm looking at the doctor's schedule and he has April 3rd open and we'll see you here at Cleveland Clinic on April 3rd. And I was like, okay, and hung up, called my wife. I said, you're not going to believe what just happened. And I told her, I said, I am scheduled for actually it was going to be a quadruple bypass on April 3rd. And she's like, what? I said, yeah. I said, 30 days. And that was a whole ordeal. I almost died on the table. It was kind of a big thing, but I recovered amazingly well. I feel great. My heart feels great. And I'm coming up on that 1-year anniversary on April 3rd. So hopefully in April, it'll be 4 months since my amputation. Hopefully my foot will be healed, my stump will be healed. I'll get a prosthetic, have my 1-year anniversary, yada, yada, yada. But all of that to say, maybe I will, maybe I won't get on an ambulance. So anyway, I don't know how to do a YouTube channel. Like I said, I am a gadget geek and I am an IT guy, but I mean, I can't know everything. I can do a little bit of video editing on my Mac, but to be honest, I just don't have time for everything. And I know a lot of these guys with like 100,000 subscribers, they have, people that, do this for them and whatever, but I mean, I'm just starting out, got no affiliations. I got no monetization. I'd love to do all that because frankly, I'm going to need the money. TikTok, the whole bit, I want to do the whole thing. But it comes down to, I need people to buy my stuff. I can do all that work, but people need to buy my stuff. So, but anyway, let me show you something I'm working on. I'm kind of proud of it. It turned out really cool. So my, this is my number 2 and my number 3, Ethan and Raven. He's 26, or no, dang man, I don't even know my kids' age. He's 27. He's 27. My oldest is 29. And my beautiful girl there, she's just turned 21. Her birthday was February 1st. And, my youngest, who's going to be 19 in a couple weeks, wanted to do a birthday gift where each of the kids have a picture with her and wanted me to engrave it. So as you see here, they had a note that's just cursive font, but I can take handwriting. I can pull it. I could have done their handwriting. It's just so bad you wouldn't be able to read it. So I put a picture of them that they gave me and the note that Ethan wrote for Raven and engraved it on this anodized aluminum. It's a 5x7. Get them on Amazon. And it turned out great. It looks really good. Here is the one I'm doing for my oldest with my daughter. It's on Xtool XCS. When you're doing, that picture looks really weird. And that is because when you do metal, you invert it. So here it is, engraving. I'm trying to get it into focus there. Like I said, I'm not good at this. So it probably looks really bad. I'll get some video of it and I'll add it to this. But, this one isn't coming out as good as the first one. And I've got high DPI. So I'm not sure why it's kind of more washed out. It might be just the kind of picture it was. But that one's engraving. All right. So let me just show you my setup here. So I started with that little Wayne Lux that I got on Kickstarter. And from that, I have grown, I outgrew that pretty quickly. And I actually got that D1 20 watt over there in the corner. And I was in the middle of a job and I accidentally sliced through the cables. And I was like, crap, because I had jobs to do. So I got on eBay to get this D1, 20 watt Pro. They actually don't make these anymore. They've upgraded. Xtool now has what's called the S1 and the P2, which is a CO2 laser. And then I had an F1, their original one that looked like this. It's kind of like it's a little brother to this thing. And I actually sold that because I got this Ultra, which is a 20 watt diode, a 20 watt fiber. And I'm using the fiber part right now and it's doing really good. So there you can see the picture that it's engraving, running XCS off my Mac. And an interesting thing here is I'm running both of these lasers from my computer. With the D1, I use Lightburn and I love Lightburn, but XCS is so easy. And so I run it with, this is called a Galvo, with my Ultra. So I'm doing this in Lightburn. So let's go see how it looks. Oh, and then I also have the AP2, which is a really expensive, tumbler holder. But no, this is actually an air filter. So this is what I'm doing on the Xtool D1. Making this for my aunt and uncle. My grandparents' name was Von Tobel, so their last name, my uncle Virgil, was Von Tobel. So I'm cutting this out, gonna put it on a round background, for them. And so that's my setup. I got 2 lasers running, full speed here. That cut, the cut for the light burn was going to take 2 hours. That engraving of the kids was going to take an hour and 20 minutes. I'm out here in my garage, which is freezing cold. I've got 2 heaters running across me for warmth. I did buy a mini split that I am still trying to find somebody to install it. And then hopefully I'll have better temperature control. But these 2 heaters don't do too bad of a job, to be honest. All right, let's look at both of these. So here is the metal engraving that I made my oldest son with his sister, and it kind of has washed out, so I don't really like that. I think I need to work with the contrast to see if I can get those spaces to not be so white. So I might have to do that one again. Then over here to the monogram. See if this cut out here. I had to run this several times. This is really good wood. So I'm going to push this all out and we'll look at it. All right, so there it is, all cut out. So there it is, all cut out. And I'm going to give it a coat of black paint, and then it's going to go on a wood background. And we'll see what it looks like when it's done. So that's really it. That's a lot about me. My setup, you saw my desk. My desk is a mess. And this is my inaugural video for my YouTube channel. I guess I should tell you the name. Masten Made. We're rebranding. I started as Medic Up Engraving. Cause one thing I did when I was a younger man, is I was a paramedic on the SWAT team, locally, and also the bomb squad. And kind of, I think maybe the military does it too, but on SWAT, you know, we'd hit a house and then they'd say medic up, and that would be me and my compatriots that were medics. And we'd move up the stack and we'd go in and take care of anybody that we needed to, including our own guys. So I've kind of kept that theme. My license plate says medic up. I started out, I called my engraving Medic Up Engraving, and all my social channels, they're all Medic Up. But people have started saying Medicup. And they're like, what is Medicup? And it's like, that's not it. And also we wanted to kind of spread out to more areas. Like my wife says, you got to stop making things for men. It's their wives that buy stuff. So you got to make woman stuff. And we need to branch out, to where, we came up with Masten Made. It's our last name, and making this stuff. She's also doing some embroidery and making some cool stuff that we're going to start listing on our Etsy shop. So we're rebranding to Masten Made. That's what the name of this channel will be. So I will, show you the end result here when it's all done. And then I'll have some editing to put this video together. Hey guys, well, I thought I would show you the finished product here. Got it glued on this white round background. Got it coated in some clear coat. And it is ready to go. So I'll send that off to my aunt and uncle and hope they enjoy it. By the way, if any of you guys have a way to clear these paint cans that get like they dry out a little bit at the nozzle, let me know, because I feel like I waste a lot of paint because I can't get it to come out of the can. Alright guys, thanks for staying to the end of this video. Hopefully this will be a great channel that will flourish, and that you guys will enjoy and appreciate following my story. Take care.